Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Through in Cybersecurity Marketing. I'm one of your hosts, Maria Velasquez, and the roles have flipped today, but with me is my awesome, fabulous co-host.
Thank you. I was waiting to hear what adjective you were going to pull out for me. Gianna Whitford.
And with us today is an awesome guest. He is the CEO and founder of dope.security. Also, by the way, that is a dope name. Welcome, Kunal. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We can't wait to jump right into it with you.
Oh, so nice to be here. I'm sad we didn't meet at RSA though. That would have been amazing. We could have done it out there in the in our hometown, you know.
Well, we'll have to do it again. We'll ask RSA for another one this year.
Well, we'll definitely 100% we'll be seeing you at Novella next year, right? So that'll be amazing.
Absolutely. But so before we dive in, take us through your story. You're currently a founder and CEO of a security company. You're also a producer, a designer. You spent time at Symantec. You spent time at ForcePoint. This is a really interesting story and journey. Take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been into cybersecurity probably since I was a little kid. Well, not probably, definitely. But cybersecurity is kind of on the good side of things. So I was kind of more of a child hacker, if you will. So it was a fun childhood, and I almost went to jail. So that was interesting. And from there, went to Berkeley. And from Berkeley, I always say I went to UC Berkeley for undergrad, but UC, University of California, Symantec for my master's. So
that's a good one. I mean, look, that feels like a natural journey. So child hacker, jail, UC Berkeley. It makes sense.
You skipped over the jail way too quickly, Kunal. Can you tell us a little bit more about...
It's so normal, you know, so what can I say? I think when you're in school, you explore things, right? And so for me, it was all about exploring new things, seeing how we do stuff. I mean, my first foray into hacking was really around piracy, right? I mean, like, how do you pirate movies and such? Because we weren't able to go there as kids. Like, we didn't really go out to the theaters as much as we wanted to, you know? Expensive here, there, everything. And so how do you watch a movie that you really want to watch and be one of the cool kids? Well, maybe if you could pirate it or figure out a way to get it online, then you would be one of the cool kids. So
all the LimeWire days, and what's the other one? Napster, and I don't know if I'm dating myself, but those are
Napster is very, very popular and extremely there. LimeWire is definitely still brings back memories, and then like Usenet and torrent, obviously people know a lot about that as well.
Totally.
But not that I've ever done it, you know. I'm talking about it.
Never visit any of those websites.
Yes.
Just heard about them in the news. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're all really good kids here. We're all really good kids that just love cyber. That's all.
And then from there at Symantec, you know, there was this whole kind of idea around building enterprise cybersecurity products, right? Because if you think back to like late 90s to after I graduated school, it's a completely different generational shift, right? So you'd have these products that you'd go in and implement at big companies or even small companies to help secure themselves from attack. And so many of those different products and capabilities I ended up working on as a engineer or a product manager, or even as a leader on the engineering and product side.
Love that.
And so then I went to ForcePoint and then finally started dope.security.
That's awesome. And I'm very interested in that transition, right? I think there is probably a lot of product managers, even engineers out there that work at a current cybersecurity company, but have dreams of starting their own. Talk to us about that journey particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I never really wanted to start my own company, honestly.
Okay.
I think it was never really like a big dream of mine. I being in cybersecurity as a kid, like, you're going to jail, right? You get handcuffed, but then you get put on probation and so on and so forth. But for me, the dream was always to work at Symantec, actually. I was always my dream company because I wanted to work with the people that really discover malware and that know all that stuff really well so you can learn it too. And I did, you know, a lot of the people that I worked with there, they've been doing this for decades, right? And they taught me so much, and that's where I am today, is because I learned from the people that I would say are the best of the best. Sometimes, and the company is not really reflective of the people inside of it, right?
Love that. That's so true. Your unintentional MBA that got you to where you are today, founding your own company?
Yeah.
To an unintentional company. Just...
Unintentional. Well, I'm not an MBA, but
Well, I mean, I feel like your time at Symantec probably is equivalent to even more than just an MBA, right?
yeah, I mean, when people say those, like MBA in general, for me, it's like you can't really get the education that I got from the people. I mean, you got a professor who's been doing this, who worked at a VeriSign or here or Symantec or just in Blue Coat. So you imagine, for example, Steve Schoenfeld. So he was the head of product at Blue Coat, which is the main competitor for a company like a Zscaler, for example, or in theory for dope.security as well. So to have someone like that teaching you or mentoring you, or at least being your kind of your guide in so many different ways, is you'll never get that. So it's less theoretical and extremely practical. So that's kind of where my journey, maybe my uniqueness comes from, is from these other people.
So what does dope.security do? Give us the 30-second pitch.
Yeah, well, it starts with the name, right? Dope.security.
You're jumping the gun here.
I love it. I'm already in love with the company just from the name. I love it.
Well, I'm born and raised in California. So when you're born and raised here, we do say dope every 5 minutes, right? So Top Gun 2, dope movie, hey, that's a dope restaurant or dope coffee shop. And for me, bringing a part of California to the entire world is really important. So we do have obviously, like any company, a lot of customers are in the US, right? But then there's also people in Saudi or in Zambia or in South Africa or wherever, right? And so when you have those people, they feel that this is from California. It means something, and it means very good, right? So for us, dope is the passion to build an amazing product. Every single person here focuses on design and UX. So everything is about building the best design product. But most importantly is that attention to detail. When you think of like the best product you've ever held in your hands and you say, hey, what's so unique about that? There is an attention to detail aspect, because when you realize that, you're like, dang, that's amazing. And that's dope.
That's interesting. Do you feel like perception and UI UX is super important just because you are focusing your target market on international and in certain countries where they pay most attention to something like that?
No, I mean, it's worldwide. People use consumer devices all the time. If you're using let's just say you pull out your phone, it's pretty easy to use. If it was difficult to use, it wouldn't be that great, right? Then you wouldn't buy it. Now, in cybersecurity, people are just used to a really bad user experience and interface, and that's just been the norm. It's a difficult thing to do. And Erica, who I've had the pleasure of working with for like many years, almost a decade, but we worked together at Symantec, at Forcepoint, and at Dope, and she was the first person actually at Dope with me, and we designed the entire UI, designed the entire way that this should be built. So it was interesting, right? I mean, if you think about it, we started with UX, we started with the design.
Love that.
That echoes a lot of what Ari Yablok, who is head of brand at Island, said on one of our previous episodes, Maria. The value of brand, the value of looking put together, the value of being easy to use.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Island, right, a lot of my old colleagues are there. I always say, like, Island has the best sales team. I can't speak for everyone there because I didn't work with all of them, but I work with almost every single salesperson in the entire team, all the way up. And, for me, even their CEO, Mike Fay, I always talk about him to my peers that are a little bit like older than me, but I say, look, there's people like Mike who know everyone there and have been in cyber for decades. And so that level of being able to build a team that you trust, like an Ellen, for example, who runs communication there. She's all sweet people, right? Because we all work together at Symantec. So you get to learn from everyone, which is an amazing example of how the culture gets built and how like the knowledge also gets built as well.
That's true. And it is true that we say our industry is massive and there's endless amounts of vendors out there, but it really is a small world and everybody does know everyone at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, those relationships last forever, right? Like Ash, for example, who's based in the UK. And I always say, one of my favorite sales leaders in the world, and he started off as an individual rep, right? I mean, and he did so well, and one of the best things he was able to do is whenever he would have some problem or issue, he would always just like, yo, Kunal, hey, how's everything going? Can you help with X? And so when we got to know each other that well, I mean, now we meet at RSA and it's like we're at a college reunion.
Love it. I have a very serious question for you,
Yes.
Kunal.
The serious.
Yes,
Does it have to do with pineapples or no?
No. Although maybe I'll add a second question about pineapples, but do you consider yourself a dope dealer?
Yes, all the time. Actually, we have a T-shirt. Did you see the T-shirt?
Do you have one with you?
Well, downstairs, but we'll definitely send one to you. But yeah, there's we everything in dope is designed. But if we weren't a cybersecurity company, we'd definitely be a fashion cybersecurity company. So you can see the hand painted jacket and the plane on the back. The plane represents the company, right? And so the way that we explain this to people is like dope security is like parental controls for your employees. You run it on your laptops, and it restricts what you have access to on the internet. Now, there's a lot of companies that do this, right? My two old companies, ForcePoint, Symantec, were the big ones, WebSense and Blue Coat. And then obviously there's a Zscaler, Netscope, all these organizations. But what we really differentiate ourselves besides the UX and design, it's the architect. And if you want to accomplish this, we say it's like you're taking an airplane flight. So you both live in obviously different cities, I believe. And so when you flew to San Francisco, ideally you'd be taking a nonstop flight. But now imagine somebody says, hey, instead of you flying nonstop, why not stop or flying direct to your destination? What if you stopped over in New York instead? Why would you do that? And that's the way every single organization that does this has operated for the last 2 decades, is that please take all of your internet traffic, reroute it to a data center, and then from there to the destination. And we said, well, why would you stop over if you could fly direct instead?
Huh. Interesting.
Cool. Very cool. Will you give us a twirl? Will you give us a spin so our YouTube watchers can see your jacket?
Yes, the chairs in the back and everything. However, I will definitely show the jacket offsuit. But it's nice, right? Because the clothing matches the vibe of the product and the attention to detail. Every single one of the jackets and T-shirts have a wearing instructions label, right? Be bold, be passionate, be dope.
Aww.
And that's the idea behind it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
You guys Dope Security has this very marketing forward vibe about it, right? You have your jackets that you deck out your team in. You could see them walking around. It looks like you guys are in like a gang, like walking around all together in the jackets.
We roll in together, we roll out together. So I don't go anywhere without everyone, right? So whenever we get invited to an event, I'm like, it's going to be a +5, just FYI.
So you have the branded jackets, the vibe, obviously the name, Dope Security, you just explained. What are some other interesting marketing programs and campaigns that you guys are doing? And I'm going to bring one up before you can even answer. That is CISOs in cars getting coffee. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the comedians in cars, obviously, and the James Corden show. But then really one of the best things that happened to me is I wanted to meet one of our customers. Actually, he's a CIO, and he was in SF, and I said, look, let's meet. And he's like, I can meet for a coffee, but only for 15 minutes. I have to go to the airport. And I said, okay, no problem. I'll drive you to the airport. So I picked him up. We got a coffee, and then I drove him to the airport. And we had this insanely amazing conversation because it's away from your phones, it's away from distractions. It's like, dude, I should have just recorded this conversation. And he's like, yeah, Kunal, you should have done that. And so he has a very beautiful CISO in cars with us now, and it's one of the ones on the page, which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. What other exciting things do you do to market Dope Security?
Well, everything is natural, right? Honestly, it's all organic, and it comes from everywhere, anyone in the company, right? So, for example, the CISOs in cars, right? Like it began as a customer conversation, and from a customer conversation became reality. But everyone has some touch or spin on it. Like, for example, I would say actually going in and shooting it is one thing because I shoot myself, right? So I shoot and edit all those videos. It's not really that because I shot videos since I was a little kid as well. So I have my Red Epic over there and my Leica over here. So they're all kind of everywhere. Now, if you know how to do that stuff, then you know something needs to be unique about you. So we have the LED lights in the background and putting that together, then cutting it together, getting it uploaded, having the actual colors match on the website as well. So it all kind of blends together. So you have to credit people like Ashley, like Erica, like George, who kind of said, hey, let's go in and go the extra mile in these other cities and do this in a Lamborghini. Okay, great. Let's do this in the Cybertruck. Okay, let's take that and wrap it, but who actually designed the wrap? Okay, Ashley does it. So everyone's involved. And that's why I say it's more organic and grassroots rather than like, hey, there's a marketing strategy here. We don't have a CMO, for example, right? Like we're never going to have a CMO. It's going to be people that are here, that are the head of design, that are the head of like, doing in marketing or in sales that are all contributing towards that.
Okay, let's double click on that. I get that you have enough talent and organic sort of interest in building the marketing function, right? And I think that is probably the best way to do it because there is authenticity there and there is the passion of the people that can easily be seen and felt across everything that you're doing externally. What's your strategy behind absolutely no CMO? Besides the fact that you have people that can do this for you.
I think when I say anti-CMO, it's really not about anti-CMO. It's about anti-executive in general, right? And so when I look at how these people that are so amazing, so talented, and would be sitting, everyone in our company, we have 30-ish people right now, average age is like 50 to 60 years old. And so everyone in the organization worked really, really, really hard. Sleepless nights, sleepless hours, like just trying to get products better at these big, big organizations. And when it started Dope, the whole idea was to bring together the most passionate people to drive. So do not have a manager, a mid-level manager, to have the person that knows how the product works and can go into every single detail. And so for me, for example, if I say, hey, do I consider myself as a CEO? It's very difficult for me to look at it like that. Because for me, every time I've thought of a CEO, I think of someone who's aloof, who's flying at 40,000 feet, 50,000 feet in some other world. Like I've been on calls where like I like to get into the details of everything, right? And the products. And you have to if you want to be really good at this. I can guarantee us that the CEO of Hermes knows how this stuff works and knows exactly what materials, what are the best materials, how does it work, how does it actually get out there. There's no way they're removed from any of that stuff.
Interesting.
That's super interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Maria.
No, I mean, I think like as a marketer myself and understanding when done right, marketing's contribution to revenue and the success of the company can be pretty massive. But I mean, I really like your outlook on kind of everyone is even here and we're all just trying to build this plane, pun intended, to get it to a successful altitude. Yeah, I don't hate it.
So you have a flat hierarchy? You have a flat organization, Kunal?
I mean, it's not about being flat. It's just about having if there is management, the managers, they know what they're doing, right? Like, for example, Tim, who leads endpoint engineering, I mean, he's not a mid-level manager, right? He's developing himself. He's getting into every single detail of everything. We're both very pedantic people, and the idea that like if there is something broken, it keeps us up at night. And that is what you want as a leader, right? It's the best people are those ICs that, he didn't even really want to be a manager. And I forced him. I said, listen, and he said, I don't mind it, but reviews and this. And I'm like, Tim, you're going to love it. Don't worry. And an amazing job.
Love that.
And so it's not necessarily about taking credit away. I don't like the idea of someone who is in a position that is not able to get into that area. Best example would be, hey, like, have we ever heard of a chief legal officer who is not a lawyer, right? That's not going to happen. However, how can we have people that are into the marketing and, most of the stuff that people are doing is design, but they've never designed anything before? That doesn't...
Okay, I like it. I like what you're saying. You're saying all of your executives and managers must have hands-on experience in their unit.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly, right? I mean, dumbest examples, I mentioned to you the CISOs and cars stuff, like I edit those myself. So I can tell you that I cannot design as well as Ashley or Erica can. But if they weren't able to be much, much, much better than me, there would be a problem.
Is it time for our game, Maria?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like this is going to be easy for me. So let me explain the game.
Yeah, because you're going to cheat, right?
I think I have you already figured out. And watch me fail miserably, Kunal. Watch me fail miserably. So on every episode, we Gianna and I take turns at guessing what our guests would be doing if they weren't currently working in their career. So you're a cybersecurity founder, you're a cybersecurity product
person, right?
And then you can decide which one was the closest, or if we both miserably failed, then you can just tell us, and then let us know what you would actually be doing if you weren't currently CEO and founder at Dope Security.
Yeah, sure. Let's try.
Let's do it. All right. I love how he's like, yeah, why not? Okay. Do you want to go first, Gianna?
Yes.
Okay, do it.
All right. So, you would be a scuba dive instructor.
What?
Okay, sorry.
Oh my God, sorry. I couldn't have even reacted.
What, Maria? What are you trash talking my guesses?
I am.
Well, I could have listened to this freaking West Coast, right? I could see him having, and Dope Security, super chill guy, having a good time. I can't say fashion artist or fashion person, which is what, like, everything screams Kunal about you for that guess. And Marie, better not guess that. Jesus.
Why not?
So,
why don't we move on to Maria now? Let's see what Maria says, because we had one guess from one side.
Are you moderating this?
I'll moderate the discussion here.
We're taking over the show.
We're taking over. I'm taking over the show. You've already had your one guess, Gianna.
Taking over the show. I mean, I was gonna go the fashion route. There's no way you can't go that route. He mentioned Hermes. Okay, pays very close attention to the UI UX of his product, so that's very like visual, artsy.
Have you seen the LV bag? You haven't even seen that yet.
No, right?
Right.
They have customized jackets. Pay close attention to their perception and their appearance. Not just the team, but the product too. I have to go the route of fashion, styling.
Wow. Maria, you there's two levels here. Sadly, we had one that was an A+. I can't comment on the grade of the other person, but they are so far apart.
Occasionally, there has been ones where I just pull like the most random thing out of the air, and they're like, "That's
actually
it."
Is correct.
They're like, "That's perfectly correct." And I'm like, "What? You would be a mouse trainer? Like, what is?"
No, I mean, I've been working in cybersecurity and video production and music and such like that since I was a little kid, right? So I've done both. And so many of my friends do work in, almost all of my friends actually work in entertainment. And even if they don't work in entertainment, they basically work in some sort of a creative field. Like, for example, one of my friends is an ENT surgeon. And one thing, so how is an ENT surgeon creative? Well, it's a very difficult thing, actually, to go in and reshape your face. If you have a burn, or if let's just say you need to reshape your nose, it's very difficult. And people just think, oh, it's easy. But no, it's actually, you can mess it up, right? Very quickly. Even if you are getting a lip filler, for example, you quickly learn from your friends that it's not so simple. It's just, it doesn't work like that. You have to do it properly. And so you kind of learn that attention to details everywhere. And ultimately, if all your friends do this stuff, you all kind of come together.
Love that. So clearly I'm the winner today.
Yeah.
Well, I am not the judge, but the jury did decide.
I was trying to keep this egalitarian, everyone's great sort of vibe here. So you don't have to say that I lost. We'll decide here that I lost, myself and Maria.
Well, we talked about this earlier, right? Like, even when I started Dope Security, it wasn't about necessarily creating a company. I'm not really the kind of person that says, hey, I want to start a company because I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a serial startup person. It's not me. And that's not the way I've been brought up at all. When I say brought up, not by necessarily my parents, but also by the people around me, the people that taught me so much. It's about making and seeing that there's a problem. And clearly there's a problem. I mean, we all can relate to it, right? Like, why would we take a stopover flight? Why wouldn't we fly direct? And if you imagine on your laptops, you have some cybersecurity software on there, and then they're making you fly stopover every time you access the internet. Why is that great? And so this is where we make something different.
Kunal, do you consider building a company being an artist?
Of course. Everything is, right? I mean, think about it, it's like you're making a movie, right? You have a producer, which is your venture capitalist. You have a director, like myself. You have a set of assistant directors or people in different areas. And then you have some actors. And then you have people that are actually doing a lot of the cinematography and such. And, that would be your engineering team. And then there's a lot of other people as well. So
yeah. And then the movie, which is your product that you're building, right?
And then we also do the same thing on the customer side as well. Like, we always tell people, there's products that are above the line and below the line, right? And so as a startup, for me, the big thing was being above the line, right? You want to be on a situation where this is a non-negotiable. You must have this in your organization on your cybersecurity program. And I would struggle to think about a company unless there's specific size or certain, there's always exceptions, but 90 out of 100 organizations will use something like dope security, if not dope security itself.
Very cool. I'm going to send you a poem later. And the one line in it is, La poeta es un pequeño dio. The poet is a little god, which I think you'll like and understand. Everyone will understand. I'll send it to everybody. We'll put it in the show notes.
I like that. Nice Spanish, Gianna. It's awesome. Very proud of you, my friend.
Thank you. Gracias.
Muy bueno. All right. Well, this was a really, really awesome chat. Kunal, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the show today. For our listeners, thanks for joining. And remember, a new episode drops every Wednesday, unless Gianna and I are down sick from the RSA virus, at which point we will skip a week.
Oh, no. Well, I hope you all feel better. And for what it's worth, you're coming to Dope Security's hometown next year. So love to take you all out, right? And so, we're excited. And you can always remember, welcome to California, home of Dope Security. So,
I love this. This is the big vision, to have that be on every welcome to California billboard, The signs they put up on the highway.
You're giving away all my strategy right now. What's going on?
His marketing strategies out there.
I was teasing it in your video, and you already gave off the climax.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again. And if people want to reach you, would LinkedIn be the right place? Did you want to direct them somewhere else?
I mean, of course, LinkedIn is always best, and love to meet. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of your members and all of you at next time, either at RSA or Black Hat.
Awesome. All right.
We'll see you
there.
Thank
you all so much, and see you on the next episode.
Sounds good. Take care.